Hello and welcome to Don't Kill My Character presents Vampire the Masquerade Sanguine Scourge. I said that word right?
Yes.
Incredible.
You got it, yeah.
I am Kate, aka Kate the Great Cosplays. I am the producer and owner of Don't Kill My Character, and I am a player in Sanguine Scourge in the Camarilla group. We'll talk a little more about how that all works out after I let my other lovely people with me introduce themselves as well. And I use she, her pronouns. Who wants to go first? I mean, I went first. Who wants to go second?
I'll go. Hi, my name is Natasha, aka Natasha B Cosplays, everywhere where you find people on the internet. And I use she, her pronouns, and I will be one of the storytellers for this lovely joint story that I'm so honored to be able to tell with this. What I need to check for Twitch. What you're this way? No, you're this way. You're this way.
Hello,
Wait,
everybody.
me or Extell? Extell?
No, Extell.
Okay, then you gotta go the other
I'm telling
way.
the story with.
Yeah, I was.
I'm on this side of you. This
You guys-
side of you.
You guys are doing great.
Point towards the black curtain, and that's the side I'm on.
Yes. There you go.
And I point to my wall.
Do like a little Brady Bunch thing.
Everybody, I'm Extell. Pronouns are he, him. I'm gonna be the other storyteller for this game. I'm gonna be storytelling the Anarch table and playing at the Camarilla table. So look out for that. But yeah, this is, as I said before, it's Sanguine Scourge, and I'm very excited to chill with you all today and talk about the game some.
Yeah, before I let you guys talk about the format of this game, I am going to shout out Songcraft. The music that you're going to be hearing today is all from the Songcraft bot. They were very kind to see that we were using their product and asked if we wanted a premium subscription. And I said, yes, of course. So thank you so much, Songcraft, for supporting us with that. And we should have an affiliate code for you guys down the line if you would also like to support our channel and get Songcraft for yourself. But absolutely go check out their website, check out their Discord community. The people behind Songcraft are so incredibly supportive and helpful. So thank you to all of them. And also, you're seeing the overlay by our friend Shannon, aka Imaginative Media, on screen. Thank you so much, Shannon, for doing all of the overlays and promos. They look great. And we do have a screen share that's itty-bitty now. If it becomes actually important for you to be able to see what's there, then I will switch to another one so you can better see that. All right, with my little announcements out of the way, do you guys want to talk about how this is working? Because we've said there's a Camarilla table, there's an Anarch table.
Yeah.
You guys are storytellers and players. What's going on here? What have we cooked up?
Things are wonderful.
Yeah. So before we even get into that, I do like how we both said this is going to be a chill broadcast. We're not going to do anything crazy. And then both Extell and I showed up like all in black. And I'm like, I need to go put on more makeup. And
I missed the assignment on this one.
That's fine. Pink is your color. It's fine.
My pink and my purples.
Yeah. And this is like a navy blue. I feel.
oh,
but yeah.
okay. It looks darker on screen.
I very much was like, gotta put the hood on at least because
Yeah.
vibes.
But this is kind of a project that started with me and Extell both discovering we both love World of Darkness stuff and talking and being like, oh my gosh, it's so great. I love the system. I love the stories that are made from the system. Both huge fans of LA by Night and New York by Night. But we were both like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. We both are storytellers, but we've never really gotten to play in a campaign for this game. And we were like, what if we DM'd for each other
At the same time. Yeah.
It escalated to this, essentially.
We also took some inspiration from a previous show on the channel, Shipwrecks, which the way that Sean Held Action Needed and I did that was we knew it was going to be a 6-episode miniseries. I GM'd the first half of the first 3 episodes, and Sean was a player. And then at the end of episode 3, we did a switch over and he became the DM and one of my NPCs was a player. So that also, I feel like, was part of this conversation of how we could have this, like, both of you playing and GMing storytelling for this. And I love it. I love any time we get this crew together and you guys, and you're such great storytellers. And also what got Tasha on the channel in the first place truly was the day after Gen Con, her birthday. Monday after, the two of us had later flights out, so we spent the day together, and we were in this wonderful little tea shop, and Tasha was telling me all about the Vampire the Masquerade game that you were running. And just hearing you talk about the lore and the deep dives you did into finding the spookiest places of London and understanding every street in there, and the way that you created and supported the stories of your players and the drama and the emotion and the commitment, I was sitting there like, yeah, I'm gonna get Natasha on some projects. And I'm pretty sure from the airport I was messaging Claude, our game master for Superhero Shenanigans, who's also in chat, saying, hey, I got another player for us. So, and then Extell also, I've said that your background in Vampire is something that I think has really supported me falling in love with you as a player on the channel, because the way that you approached Leo in Superhero Shenanigans, which you're both on, and the dynamic between Marley, my character, and Leo, yours especially, was done with such care and such safety in mind, and I was so impressed by that. And then you told me later that that comes from your Vampire the Masquerade background.
Yeah, Vampire, for all those who may or may not know about Vampire at home, and I'm sure Tasha could also attest to this, Vampire can be a very intense game. It's a horror game, a personal horror game. So it's very your characters will go through extreme amounts of intense situations. So it's very important, especially in the case of being a vampire, which in and of itself makes you a predator, right? It makes you have to be very careful about a lot of themes that can come up in a game, because a lot of them teeter on the line of trauma if you're not careful. So I once heard someone say that horror without safety is just trauma. I've taken that, and that's been one of my mottos for Vampire since I've heard it.
Yeah. I'm gonna call out some chats that we're getting in here too, because one of our chatters is Rosetears, who is one of the players in the Camarilla cast, and she said the first time I met Extell on GMM, Game Master Monday, I assume, he was like, please play Vampire with me. And I didn't know that. So I'm very excited that you ended up in this cast. And then Claude, our Game Master for Superhero Shenanigans, so Game Master for all of us, said a lot of RPG horror stories spring up from people being not so careful with World of Darkness games. I know that even from TTRPGs that I've been in, it can be a tricky place, which is why I am just so happy that we have so much safety and support and such great people on this channel. And a little peek behind the producer partition, I do have a lot of pretty strict lines when it comes to don't kill my character and what things we will and will not say and do in our games. But because I have so much trust for these two, and they've shown me that they can follow the rules perfectly to a T, and I have a lot of trust for all of the cast members. I've played with all of them before. A lot of them have been on the channel. We're going to be pulling back a lot of those rules. So basically, to whatever level of the cast, whatever their comfort level is, we are going to be going to much darker places, using some more foul language than we usually use on the channel, because we have built that trust and safety and comfort where, yeah, I know that it's gonna be good. So there you go, little producer partition peek there. Do you guys want to? What do we want to talk about at this point?
I guess we should probably explain what the game. I've been kind of promoting it as we've been playing Book of the Eclipse, but essentially the idea, and we've explained it again multiple times on promo, but those who might have not been there, so effectively, what the game is going to be is it's 2 different coteries sharing the same space, same city. It is a modern day World of Darkness story, so we're not using like any of the medieval or Victorian rules or anything like that. It is Quebec City in modern day. Why we chose Quebec, that's another story. But it's going to be a story of these 2 coteries. One in the Camarilla that has... The Camarilla is the more established sect in Quebec City. However, with the rise of the Sabbat in Montreal, it pushed out a lot of the leftover Anarchs that were there, and they moved eastwards towards Quebec City. And it's...
Okay, I'm sorry. I tried doing a neat thing where I switched over to the picture of the of our cast, and I didn't have your audios loaded into that screen, so we lost some of that audio. I'm sorry, guys. So I don't know what the last thing they heard in that was, but I'm gonna set up the audio for that screen so that we can use it as a screen share. Yeah.
let us know what the last thing you guys heard was.
Yeah,
what
chat.
was the last thing?
Jump in, let us know.
Yeah. So that's wonderful. No, love that. Yeah, Claude's like cliffhanger in the chat.
Yeah.
Who knows what's gonna happen after.
I'll load it. Those things for us so it can be heard on that screen.
The words Quebec City. This could have been at any point in the
so many times I said the word.
I feel like it was kind of early on, TBH.
You want to just re-explain the whole thing?
Yeah, sure.
I'm so sorry.
Anarchs being pushed eastward is what Rosie's saying in the chat.
Okay, lovely.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So the Anarchs having to move out because of Sabbat activity in Montreal have been pushed eastward towards Quebec City, and that was about 10 years ago, and so 2015, because we are setting this in 2025. And it just means that tensions are ever rising, as there hasn't been any treaty or any kind of agreement set in place, since Quebec's not that big of a city and the Camarilla were there first, so why would they want to give it up, you know?
And something that's really fun that I think it'll be really interesting to highlight during gameplay is that, like you said, Quebec City is not the biggest city, and vampires kind of need a very specific human to vampire ratio. It can never be too many vampires in a city, lest the food supply be drained too quickly. So the introduction of even more kindred in the city presents another problem of even resources, so to speak, for them feeding. So I think that'll also be really fun too, because I believe Quebec City has a population of 858,000, something like that.
Yeah, 850, 860. I see it just.
Yeah. So it's
roughly there. It's not a million. It's
not a million. Close, but not quite.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a city where vampires should be careful about how many of them there are. And
Anarchs aren't careful about making kids. They're just out here making kids left and right. No rules about it. It's crazy.
We have rules, okay?
No, the Camarilla has rules.
It differs from baron to baron. It might be slightly different,
Yeah, we have universal rules.
Can you guys still hear us? Did I do it right? I might not have. We're gonna go back here. I don't know if you guys can still hear us on that screen. Live tech, it's fun. It's a good time.
Yes.
Oh, they could hear us. Amazing.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Let's take a look at our awesome cast then. I'm gonna put it back. Look at this awesome cast we have here. Oh my goodness, guys. Wow.
Yeah.
Look at all these beautiful people.
Cast. I can't wait to get into it with everybody. It's gonna be so fun.
Wait, traumatize people. No.
Yeah.
Just characters.
Yeah.
Just characters.
The world of darkness wants what the world of darkness wants. I am but a lowly interpreter.
Who am I?
Gonna switch back over to us.
Who am I to prevent the world of darkness from hurting individuals and enjoying the full spooky aura of the world?
Sometimes the World of Darkness wants me to throw a werewolf at you. It's not my fault, okay? It's what the world asked for.
It's what the world asked for.
Yeah,
Don't look at me.
Something that's being pointed out in chat is that Claude's saying that he's never played any World of Darkness in current date. And Rosie, I think, was also, I think this is my first fully modern day game period. The other real world but fantasy thing games I've done have been set between the 90s to early 2010s. And yeah, I feel like my background being first in Dungeons and Dragons and then mostly fantasy stories until superhero shenanigans brought superhero in, I was really in not real world, very out of time things, and then superhero shenanigans is the first most real world thing I've done. I think I talked to both of you, definitely Natasha, that I'm intimidated to run real world games because that means that people really know the settings. Like, people live in Quebec City.
Yeah.
If I'm describing it wrong.
Here's the fun thing about it. Is truly it is very much like your city, your home, right? It's like that gas station down the street. Yeah, that's here in the game. But like the guy you see at the bodega is there. He lives in the city. But truly, it still lends itself to a sense of malleability. I don't know if I said that word right, but just bear with me because of the like, it is, the fact that, vampires aren't really roaming the streets. At least that's what they want you to believe. But anyway, so there is still the sense of like molding things and sort of like changing some stuff up so that it's still very it's still, while it is anchored in the real world, it still can differ. So it's really fun with that because you can still play around with it in that sense. But yeah, also current date vampire, I understand, as a bit to an earlier point made, vampire had a bit of some issues way back when. The company itself acknowledges and actively is trying to better itself from that, which we appreciate. And so like this version of vampire, this version of the World of Darkness is much more inclusive, much more accessible to people than it used to be, which is a really fun time.
Yeah, I like that. Did we talk about too the scheduling format of this, where we have Thursday starting July 10th will be Camarilla, and then Friday Anarch, doing that every other?
Yeah, I think we touched that briefly, but it's going to be working as on again, off again, but just for specific sects. So 1 week, like you said, Camarilla, the other one is going to be Anarch, and it's going to continue like that for a while, but eventually it's going to mix and match, maybe in terms of where players can move and go, as they are in the same city. So if they want to go confront one of the members of the Camarilla, they can try and single them out or try and grab them, and maybe that player might end up on a different stream. Who knows?
And with the format of what you have too, the fact that both of us are at the table at all times very much does lend itself. We do have plans for when the tables combine and mix and match, but also technically you could episode 1 be like, I'm gonna go talk to the Anarch barons, and because both of us are at the table, we can have that flexibility of I can still show
we're aware of everything that's happening on both sides.
So question for you, and if this is too spoilery, or maybe if this leads us into the bit of character creation part of this, let me know. The way that Sean and I handled that with Shipwrecks, because I was GMing the first half, he was GMing the second half, and we were constantly in contact about what I need to set up to support his story, so I knew where the story was going. So we worked into our PCs that we had that meta knowledge. So the NPC that became my PC was a divination wizard, so she could see the future. So when I was a player in the second half, it made a little bit of sense that I already knew some things that were going to happen. And then Sean, as a player in my first half, was the captain of the ship. So he had a bit more information than the crew members. So have you guys worked into your characters, or do you plan to, them having a bit more in-character knowledge than the rest of their team, the rest of their sex?
No.
Not at all. Not at
My
all.
character is a Malkavian though, so she can know whatever she wants.
Sweet.
This is true.
But we have set it up in a way where, at least thinking about it from a same lens, slightly different focus, is with how we run, we don't have to be in constant communication about what's going to come next. So I don't know what's going to be happening in the Anarch campaign before the end goal. How we've described it is that we're both running a marathon. We both know the end time. We both know where we're going to finish, and we know the goal and like things we need to do before we get to the finish line. But each of us are going to be running at our own pace. We can do whatever we want until we get there. And that's how we've kind of thought about this dual campaign.
Yeah, we know where we need to sync up. We know where things need to happen at certain times. I will say that our characters are involved with the combined plot in a way, but not in a way that they are aware of quite yet. So that's going to be fun, that we have as storyteller, but not as characters. So our characters are essentially going to be completely oblivious to whatever's going to happen, but we have plans to make that go smoother. What's really fun is that without spoiling too much about what's happening on the Anarch side, is that I have a plan to introduce some things that definitely will be what's the word? It will complicate things, but don't worry. Not for the. I have plans. Yes.
We talked about last night, as the two of us were talking, or maybe it was last night. We talk a lot. But we were talking about what the role of storytellers and game masters is, and I pulled out, I think, something that Brennan Lee Mulligan says is something that I know that I've seen authors say, where it's knowing what your character ultimately wants as a writer, or what the goal for your players is, and setting as many obstacles in their path as possible so that they become heroes of their story. But this is not a story of heroes. Still, you guys are going to put obstacles in the path of the players, but no one's going to be a hero at the end of this. And Extell, do you remember what you said yesterday about?
Yeah,
share that. That was interesting.
I quote Jason Carl a lot when it comes to when I talk about Vampire, because he is one of the biggest inspirations for me for storytelling in general, not just for Vampire. Him and B. Dave Walters. But I remember specifically once that they said, the world of darkness, for storytellers, you are the interpreters of what the world of darkness wants. In so many words. He said it way more eloquently than I just did, but essentially that was the message, that you are the interpreter for what the world of darkness wants to happen, and so I try my best to inhabit that as a storyteller. I generally storytell my games as a sort of narrator, as a sort of a presence from the future. Right, who's this story is already past. This story's already been told and is now retelling it. Because a lot of Vampire, I do that because a lot of Vampire is told from the perspective of someone in the lore. We hear that Cain was the first vampire. We hear that Lilith. We hear that the demons. We hear that God and the angels. Like all these different things, right? That come up with these characters within the lore, but none of it is set in stone. I heard from this guy in a bar 500 years ago who heard from his sire, that heard from his sire, that heard from his great sire, that this happened one day. And so so I like to take on that sort of role as a storyteller. So I will be like, let's gather around, everybody, as I tell you a story about a group of vampires who flew too close to the sun. And let's see how their story unfolds. Is how I generally started. So
I like that. That's really fun.
In that sense, I'm more of I do that to embody the whole interpret with the world of darkness, because I'm a reader of the world of darkness's story rather than the creator of the story. Sorry, that was a long-winded explanation.
No.
I'm glad you stayed awake through that.
No, we're both here for it. I love it. Tasha,
Mhm.
do you have any notes on how you see yourself, your role as a storyteller?
I see myself as the world as well, I would say, but not in. I see myself as like an inanimate object. I'm like, I am simply here, like, I'm raising walls and like putting things, like, here are things you can interact with and work with. Here are some characters here. Like, I have like all these things built up. There will always be stuff happening. Like, if you do something, I'll make sure other characters who would find out about it do. Like, everything's happening around. It's like the holodeck in Star Trek. Like, I'm just here putting things up for you to interact with, and I want to see you, and I'm fully fine, I'm fully neutral on how you break, build, or shape any of these things. Like, I am just the world. It's very, to bring up some more World of Darkness stuff, it's very, I am Gaia, I have no will per se at this point. I am just letting the things that I've made take shape around me.
I love that. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful.
So that is very interesting, like, to hear it from like the perspective of like, oh, I'm already telling the story that's been told. I'm like, ooh, that's so different. That's fun.
Yeah, and that's really fun too, because that's more of like a very like observer, like it's a I equate my vibe to a when I tell it to people, I'm like the person who reads a book to people at a library, right? Like gather around, everybody. Today we'll dive back into the story of these anarchs that flew too close to the sun or whatever, right? And but that feels more like a if you ever watched To Your Eternity, I'm sorry if I'm about to make you cry by thinking about it again. It's a really good anime. It's very sad, but the character that creates the main character, which is he's supposed to be some like deity that has created the world and the universe and everything, and he simply makes this ball and puts it on the planet and see what happens. It's a ball that can take the shape of the things it encounters, the memories that are embedded into it. And so as the ball progresses and becomes different things, from a rock to a plant to a wolf to a human, and takes the form of these things and starts gaining levels of sentience and starts exploring the world. He just simply watches, and it's kind of like interesting. And that's what that reminds me of, which I love it so much, and I'm here for, and I can't wait to experience that as a player at your table.
I've never seen it, so maybe I should pick up that anime, even though it's
you
sad.
will cry. You will cry within 3 episodes.
We do have another question from Rosateers in the chat. Would love to hear if your role as a storyteller influenced your choices and what kind of character you'd play in the other half of the campaign.
No.
So then, how do you? Yeah.
He came to me and he's like, I have a specific type of character I always play, and it's this. And I'm like, go for it.
Can you talk to us about that? About how you then, because you're switching between GM brain and player brain. So let's talk about how you have built these characters, whatever you want to say. That's not too spoilery.
Would you like to go first, Tasha?
Sure. Mine was more built on, I don't happen to have, like I said, I've never gotten to play. I played one shot at Gen Con of Vampire the Masquerade, but I've never had my own character built for anything long term or even short term. And it happens to be that when I'm storytelling, for some reason, it's just my players haven't really interacted with many of my Malkavian NPCs. So I've played so many Toreador, I've played so many Ventrue, I've played so many other clans that are that I'm because I've been interacting with my players through these clans, but I haven't done a lot of Malkavian, and they seemed like an interesting challenge. It's very different from the type of player, type of character I would make, because I would go more similar to the route you said with, I like La Sombra, I like Zemitzi, I like Banu Hakim. I like the clans that aren't necessarily the main focus and have a bit more of like an edge to them. So this is very different for me, and I'm very excited to play her. To give a brief description, her name is Tara, and she is a young Wendat woman who is mixed race. She is white and Wendat, and when she was younger, many, many years ago, but not long ago enough, resident schools still existed in Canada up until 1976. And she was put in one and forced to learn like Latin, Christianity, the English language, and had to forget a lot of her own nation's roots. And it kind of skewed how she grew up, and she became very good but it caused her to focus in on the continued learning when she was at school, and she kept pushing herself until one day she encountered this Malkavian looking for a child, and she was like, oh, this is a great opportunity for me to keep learning and keep doing things. Not quite realizing what being a Malkavian means, per se. But she is my little Anarch character, has been around in Quebec a little bit longer. So I'm excited to see how people interact with her as one of the first kind of Anarchs that have been in the city. I guess that's a good way to explain, similar to what you were asking before with the captain, the trade-off first mate captain thing, is like my character's just been in Quebec longer, so she knows some more of the stuff that's there. And some more stuff to do with the Camarilla.
I love a good Malkavian. Malkavians are so fun.
I'm enjoying playing her. I know it.
Extell, do you want to tell us a bit more about yours? I think it's funny because, Tasha, you approach this, I think, with I want to play something different than usual, and it sounds like Extell came to you like, this is my character type. This is like playing two type versus playing against type. It's fun.
I have before I say I tend to play I've gotten to play vampire as a player very few times. I tend to play La Sombra.
Yeah, both of you.
I tend to play La Sombra. I played like 3 times as a player, and most of them were for short games. So like I usually play La Sombra. I played a Gangrel before, but La Sombra is where I live. This time I've changed that to a Tzimisce, which I love it. I love it, but the sort of the basic idea is kind of the same. I generally play some type of like not on the good side of the law type of character, and he's gonna be like this now. Cameron Stillwater is his name. He's obviously a black man, represent, and he's got this. Truly, in life, he was actually more of a sculptor. Before he became a kindred, he's actually more artsy, and I think the influence of his sire is what drove him to doing other types of lines of business. But I think that is also partially why he was changed. Also, this is going to be the first time Tasha's hearing about this because I have not.
No, you haven't.
I mean, hey, we build this as a planning session, character creation. So let's go. Let's see it.
So the idea is that he's this sort of former sculptor turned Tzimisce who has this influential sire in a way, and now has the ability to expand. And I think what happens with him is that the change changed him fundamentally, even as a person rather than just physically, right? And from going from human to kindred, and it changed a lot of like how he thought, especially with the Tzimisce. They're very interesting clan, to say the least, the clan of the dragons. And so they tend to have this sort of like almost possessive nature in a way. for things that they claim that they want to be theirs. Hence the name Clan of the Dragon. So I think there was just sort of like that sort of personality, that sort of mindset kind of overwrote his personality from before, and he become this very cold, calculating individual. Still likes to scope, but
I don't know
flesh.
if I've heard. I don't know if I've heard Zamitzi referred to as the Clan of the Dragon before.
Mhm.
This is my first experience with Vampire, and these guys are so patient. We have a lot of first-time players, and they're great at explaining it all. But I mean, that's just another dragon-coded character for you. Yeah, this is very on brand.
I do have a thing with dragons, yes, which is surprising that I play Lasombra so much when there's the Zamitzi there. But like and also sidebar, me and Tasha have talked about this. We both tend to run games for new players. That's kind of where my comfort zone is. I think I've had one table where every player was knowledgeable in the game. And so I was like, well, it was a little weird.
Know what to do with myself.
Yeah, it was a little weird for me because I was like, I don't have to explain things to y'all. Like, I don't have to tell you things. You just know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you prefer playing Vampire with people who are newer to the game, or do you like what? I mean, I feel like there's pros and cons to each one, but
I don't think I've ever played Vampire with people who haven't played Vampire before.
Yeah.
But now, obviously, like I said, I've been running a pretty long-term campaign. They all know how to play it by now. Like, it's been 2 years since that campaign started, which is crazy to me that it's been
if they
running
don't know
that
how to
long.
play, that'd be wild.
Yeah.
Rouse check still. You take one.
But I'm glad that they're very patient, because still sometimes every once in a while I'm like, what kind of complication should I give them? What's the frenzy test again? You know, like.
Yeah. The thing that's hardest for me is coming up with consequences for messy criticals.
Yeah. That's the worst. Well, that's why I say I look up the complications. That's basically all of them. Not complications, they're called something else. Compulsions, thank you. I was thinking COM. But yes, it's the compulsions. It's always trying to figure out, okay, what am I gonna do with this messy crit?
Yeah, should I put you in a terror frenzy or something? Like, what's happening? You in a hunger frenzy? Yeah. Paranoia.
Yeah,
Clan compulsion.
Because, like I said, I run a Camarilla campaign, so a lot of the times they'll get a messy critical, and it's not in a combat situation. It's not in a situation where tempers are rising. It's in a political, we're just talking about what we should do with the city situation. So I'm like, I don't know how to describe the messy critical here.
When in doubt, I just make the hunger go up. Like, your hunger increases by 1.
Yeah. Let's go to.
When in social moments, I'm like, yeah, you just get hungry. Isn't that wild?
This is secret go-to. Or I like giving paranoia, or like overconfident compulsions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Paranoia is a very good one. It's very fun because it's like, everybody hates me right now. Maybe.
Yeah.
Everybody's out to get me.
I
should leave. Should leave this place.
Chat is also being pretty active right now. Claude said, World of Darkness to me feels so ST specific. I don't know what ST is.
Storyteller
specific. Amazing. That I'm super locked into my current one's vision of the setting. So it'll be interesting watching your interpretations.
Yeah,
go ahead. And Rosie says that she, after hearing you speak, Tasha, she absolutely made the right character for your table.
Aww.
And Claude says paranoia in World of Darkness is just being smart. Yeah, smart people are burdened.
Sometimes.
There are
smart for your own good.
There are like a few rules that I've stolen from B. Dave Walters' character Victor from LA by Night. And number one rule is always assume there's a Nosferatu in the room. It's just safe to assume that. no matter how secure you think a place is, just always assume there's at least one, in the corner.
I got my characters paranoid about a La Sombra now because they made friends with a La Sombra who can teleport through the shadows. And now they're always worried that she's around and listening through the shadows.
Yes, let's have fun with that. The shadows perspective. There we go. And shadow step are a wild combination. It's Lasombra is so fun. I should have made it.
Sorry, continue with your rule that you learned from the game.
I mean, hey, here's the thing. You're the game master, so if you make a Lasombra NPC, you're kind of playing a Lasombra. There you go.
No. It's fine. I'm okay. I'll play Lasombra another time. It'll definitely happen.
Making more programming for Don't Kill My Character 2026 is what I'm hearing. Because this game, it is going through November, like early November. We're ending it, wrapping it before New York Comic Con for my own sanity. So yeah, we're gonna be telling the story for a while.
Yeah, I forget if it's somewhere between 16 and 20 episodes. I forget the exact number.
Yeah,
somewhere around.
Yeah.
And that's combined. That's with Camarilla and Anarch sides combined.
Yes.
16, 20 episodes, not each. Yeah.
Or 10.
Yep.
That'd be wild if we did 20 episodes each. It'd be fun, but wild.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd have to take a break for that span of time that is New York Comic Con PAX Unplugged, but
we can bring it back season 2. Don't worry.
I can't. We haven't even started season 1 yet, and we're planning season 2. I love this.
If your character survives, I don't know.
That's true. That's true. Look, the channel's called Don't Kill My Character, but I think as the producer, that's really only Don't Kill My Character. Like it's my channel, so don't kill my character. Anyone else, I think it's fair game.
Sometimes in Vampire, there are worse fates than death.
That's true. Yep, it's gonna be interesting to see.
Because think about it, you're already dead as vampires. Like, there's a lot of stuff that could happen after that.
So something else we had talked about, because on most shows that we do on the channel, we have channel point rewards where the audience can use their Twitch chat points that they gain from watching Twitch live streams. So if you're watching live right now, you're getting those points. And then they can use those to help out the players. Give them boons, give them advantages or bonuses to rolls. And we had started this discussion last night where I asked you guys if that was something that you even wanted to do with this game. And do you want to speak to your answers on that and a bit of your thinking about how chat might be involved?
No, we don't want you helping the characters.
Yeah,
you can hurt the characters.
Yeah.
We don't want you helping the characters. So.
Yeah.
The channel point rewards are called Don't Kill the Characters, and I'm going to keep that as the reward title. However,
can we do 100,000 points?
them.
Can we do one that's like 100,000 points and it's a character dies?
Yeah, just kill a character. Don't kill the character, kill the character. Yeah.
I mean, but you said that vampires are already dead. Like, so if we did this, would chat be picking? Is this like a community chat reward, or one person has to put in and pick?
I think this is one person. This is like the one person who's like listening constantly. This is an ultimate watcher award, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is why it's so
kill a character on Don't Kill My Character.
Yeah.
I mean, we have one of our 2 session zeros, because it's a big cast. We couldn't get everyone together at once. One of our 2 session zeros is later tonight, so maybe we'll float this to the cast and be like, "Hey, would you be cool with that?"
Truly, though, death does come hard to vampires. It is very a specific thing that you have to actively try for to kill a vampire, which is fun. Also, vampires are already dead, and it's fun because there's no afterlife for them. That's just it. Yeah.
But I do think that in terms of the rewards for the channel that we're going to be making, they're going to be things that could put obstacles, things like rouse checks. There might be a couple little reward type things that I was thinking of here and there. They're like minor rewards, you know, like maybe there's like a rat in the area that they could drink if they were really hungry.
I got to venture. I'm not doing that.
No.
Is the rat a dancer?
No, I'm so
I'm not
sorry.
drinking
I
them.
mean, you could
It's
if you
not the
picked
Rat King
farmer.
from Nutcracker.
Nutcracker Ballet. That's the only rat that I will drink is the Rat King from the Nutcracker
You
Ballet.
could if you picked the farmer predator type. I'm just saying, but you couldn't
Yeah.
eat anything else but animals. So that's the whole thing. And it
Oh.
kind of sucks if you get higher than blood potency too, because it's kind of like at blood potency 3, animals stop doing anything for you. So, or is it 4? It's 3
A
or
little
4.
bit. A little bit about
sorry, I
my
was just-
character. I am playing a Ventru, and she owns a nightclub, bit of a burlesque club as well, called Visage. And yes, her people that she will feed on are dancers. Gotta be a dancer.
Sing
That's
Queen?
it.
Sing Queen? You picked Sing Queen?
I don't know what that is.
The Predator.
I narratively know what I'm
The
doing.
Predator.
I have
Yeah.
no mechanical.
We're working on our
knowledge of what I'm
character
doing.
tomorrow. Don't worry about it.
Okay,
Tomorrow
got it.
still no, I'll explain everything.
I am celebrating 4th of July by making my Canadian vampire character with Natasha, and I think that's the best way to do
It's
it.
correct.
Really.
Sing
Yeah.
Queen is a really good one. My character is an extortionist, which is going to be fun.
I don't want to say mine because I want people to find
You
out
don't
in
have to.
stream. Yeah, because it's a fun
Yeah.
one. But what was it gonna say is just to make sure that it's very well iterated. That even though there will be reward points that will put obstacles and maybe hurt characters, like we were saying before, horror without barriers is just trauma. So there will be times when even if someone collects that reward, we might say, hey, you can't use this now. The characters are in a moment where this could be actually like dangerous for them. We don't want to like set anything up poorly for them per se. And it might be like, well, don't worry, as the storyteller's got something planned that's going to be coming up, I think it's a good time to not do some of these. So it will take them as they come, and I'm sure we'll find a way to honor those points in some way, shape, or form. It just might not be in that moment per se.
I can also refund channel points if something really doesn't work. Whoever's running tech can do that. So yeah, we love having the chat involved, the audience involved. I myself, when I'm in chats, really like to be able to contribute and interact with the story in some way, but also ultimately the story is told by the people on screen. So I do really respect that you guys have that balance between involving the audience and community, but also making sure that your story and the story of the players is protected.
Yeah.
I also just had an idea of there may be times actually when we could switch from complications the rewards to like limited to 1 per viewer.
Yeah.
But like a free
rewards live, but yes, there are limits we can put on channel.
Like before, not live, but like sort of in between the sessions, because there may be sessions where I'm like, hey, this one coming up is going to be pretty intense. We can give them we can give them 1 free willpower reroll, for the
things like that are good.
Because like there are times when it's definitely going to be like you are going to be up against the wall and things are going to be terrible.
But all that said, though, please feel free to we're still going to have the ones like maybe don't take care of the characters, but do take care of the players. We'll still have like the hydrate, stretch, little things like that, just to make sure everyone's still taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute. I like that. I like that marketing. My cat drank this water. Oh no! Grover. Definitely just gotta grow over hair. Anyway, is there any more planning peaks or character peaks that you guys can give us or want to build here?
Oh, I can I can show off my character here, my character creator.
Can show it on the screen.
Yes,
Sure.
indeed.
I see you switching over, so I'll wait to switch my view until your view is set.
Oh, this is so weird because I see it twice. Because I see it in Video Ninja, but also on the.
Just close Video Ninja. Just minimize it.
How will I see
I'll move this over. Yeah.
So let me know when we're ready here.
Yeah, we're
I'm
good.
seeing
We're
it on
here.
screen. Yep. Mhm.
I don't know why it still says trapdoor as my predator type. I changed that because I was gonna do trapdoor, but I changed it
That's
to
the one I was thinking for you. That I thought you might like for your character.
Trap-
How you were describing it.
I did think about it when I first built him. I was like trapdoor, but I think extortionist worked
Yeah.
well.
And not just you, but also Kate's character, because she was describing something like she lures people to her. I'm like, oh, that could be a good one.
I was actually thinking too, what if our characters had a shared? What if the Visage also doubled as like? What if it was both of our Haven? Even though we hate each other.
Yes, we were talking about that a bit, where because Extell and I, as I mentioned, our characters are in a relationship on superhero shenanigans. I was like, I think I want our characters on this to just not get along at all. And Extell was like way ahead of you. So incredible.
I'm gonna reload this and see if it updates with the things that I changed, because I realized I haven't re-uploaded
View's a little bit fuzzy. I'm gonna see if I can fix that on my end too. And put it back to us.
Oh yeah, there it is. Pursuer.
Oh, we got it. Sweet. Is that something you guys can view okay on Twitch? A little bit fuzzy. I'll see if I can edit that while you go. But
Oh no, I remember now. I changed it to pursuer, not extortionist. Which that's gonna be fun. But no, yeah, we're looking here. I'll show off some of my abilities here that I have, which is anybody who's watching, your character does not know this because he would not tell you. But if you were in the game, feel free to know as a person. But so here we have his cloud memory, of course, because you have to cloud memory sometimes. Yeah, you gotta be like, yeah, you don't remember me. Mesmerize is also a must-have. To be able to give commands to people and have them follow it out, and it's perfect. Also, I needed it for vicissitude. I needed 2 levels, in which I have that. So I can. This would allow me to sculpt my flesh to do things that I want it to do. Such as like, turning my hand into a sword, or pulling out one of my ribs and using it as a knife. Like it's a whole thing. There we
go. I got it clearer.
Oh, lovely.
I'm so good at tech.
I think we need to make the Spider-Man reference, and you need to make a bone saw at some point.
Bone saw is ready. My character's gonna have this thing where he always has Eyes of the Beast on, because he's what?
No. I think crazy because I got Oblivion sight, and I'm like, my character would probably have her Oblivion sight on all time.
It's such a cool thing to do. I feel like there's like one Oblivion sight is amazing. Blacked out eyes, it's wonderful. Eyes of the Beast is also fun because you just have the red eyes all the time, the glowing red eyes. The problem is that if anybody sees them, it's a masquerade. It's obviously supernatural, but you just gotta wear shades and it's fine. Because they both allow you to see better in the dark. So you just put on shades and you see fine. You see fine always. But yeah, that's the sort of vibe that we're going for. Since the Beast is a good animalism ability, and it is something that's fun. I don't mind sharing so much about, because this is for the audience to enjoy. I don't mind sharing so much about my character here. I also have a plan for my character to sort of always be, since the Beast is a passive thing, so it's going to be kind of like a constant thing that he has going on in the background, and it's a fun thing that allows him to one, tell if a creature is supernatural, because he can just sense the supernaturalness in them essentially. You can also gain like insight on their like hunger if you make a roll and stuff, but another thing that's the most important for him out of it is that you can tell when a person become hostile to you. you can tell when their intentions become aggressive toward you, and so that's going to be a really fun one for have on. I almost going to have like a danger sense on it essentially at all times.
That's also why I picked Oblivion Sight. The other thing, other than Sing in the Dark, is you can see ghosts just regularly with Oblivion Sight, which is very fun. As while I won't describe exactly her haven because she would never invite anyone to it, she does live in a graveyard.
Oh, I love that for her. I love that for her. She's amazing.
So she's like, I want to make friends with the ghosts in the graveyard. Let me go see them.
Love that. I love that so much. So I took Bloodhound came with being a pursuer. I have a ghoul and I have a contact, which also came with being a pursuer. I took the flaw, obvious predator from the herd background. What this does essentially is just makes me I exude a predatory demeanor as it reads. And so humans can have this sort of instinct that are like, you're definitely something dangerous. You're definitely someone that's dangerous. They can't necessarily be like, oh, you're a vampire or like you're some other thing, but it's sort of like a feeling that they get that's kind of like, this might be a bad time. Which in the penalties that it makes me lose dice from my dice pool when I make social rolls with humans because they are because they can tell when I'm hunting, they can feel my presence almost, except for like stalking and stuff as it reads, which is perfect because that's kind of what a pursuer is. It's gonna be a time.
No alley cat, just you. I don't think I know what's between pursuer and alley cat.
The pursuer is more of a stalker, and it's like
the
pursuer likes to know. The pursuer likes to gather info about the person that they're trying to feed.
Okay, on. I remember. Yeah,
they will stalk them for a long time before they actually feed on them. And while the alley cat is just like, someone's walking down the alley. Time
I'm hungry. Pounce. Here's a person. Let me chase.
Yeah.
Men's chase sequence.
Tastes like fear. Love it. But yeah, and also I'm rich. Money.
I think I put all my advantage points into my haven. I put so many things into making a good home. I have such a lovely home in the graveyard.
The haven is a very good place to put some points in.
I think I put 3 points in haven overall, and then I was like 2 points into library and a point into postkern. The one that gets you like the way out.
Yeah, love
I'm
that.
like, I'm making sure my home is safe and for me, and has the things I like.
Yeah, what's fun about havens is that they're more so for the audience, and also partly for Kate.
Tell me
about the
haven.
There are there's the basic like dots you can put into it to get you like a certain size of haven, but then there's other like lists of dots that you can spend more dots on to get benefits or flaws to it, like haunted or like cursed is like a flaw. There's other thing. There's benefits that you can get, like it's heavily secured. It has like security. It has like Tasha said, like a good exit for you, like a secret exit for you to leave if you need to. And these things sort of like add to either the difficulty of finding where your haven is or the protection of the haven itself if someone does find it. Or like library can help with like knowledge research, stuff, like finding out things of the occult or academic side of things. So it's really fun. It's really fun stuff.
I did move back to us because the screen share, it was working okay, but it was a little fuzzy. Yeah. Now we're chatting more. So
thank you for letting me know.
I just did it.
Or just get 2 points in library because your kindred may have been isolated for many, many years and needs entertainment.
Yeah. I think that's probably going to be
Yeah.
the end of the sharing, the screen sharing stuff, probably. But yeah, it is good. There's a lot of good stuff there. I actually want to talk to you about taking more flaws to get more advantage.
Okay. Good. This is something. Rosie, also feel free to note this down. If you want to take more flaws, just for advantages, not for like points in skills or disciplines or anything, but just to get more advantages, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that is a rule that was like built into the older World of Darkness systems, but I don't know if it's in the system here, but I think it's still a fun thing. I forget about it a lot, so it's a lot of times I generally don't mention it. But Tasha brought it up recently. I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. So like, I was like, ooh. So also, anybody at my table, if you're here, you can't do that.
I'm serious, okay.
Wow.
You can. Don't worry.
So I don't know if we've talked a bit about how you're using actual Quebec City, because I know that you've been doing a lot of research and you have your documents on the places, and Tasha, you like to look up the spooky spots and lore of the city. Do you want to speak to anything about Quebec City itself that has like places that you plan to use or stories from it that inspired you?
So I'll start off. Quebec City is very fun. And one of my favorite little fun facts about it, it's the only walled city left in North America. The old part of the city used to be like a whole huge fort, so it's all walled. Obviously, the city has grown beyond that, but there is a section of the city, which is the old part, called the Upper City, which is quite literally like it's on a higher elevation point. It's almost like a cliff. You take stairs or like a little funicula to go up to it. And that's where a lot of the Camarilla, that is the main protected Camarilla domain in the city. Not that the Camarilla doesn't own the entire city, but the old, but the old part is the part that's very securely still. Everything there is very Camarilla, which makes sense. The older vampires might like the older things, and it has a very old European vibe to it. When you're looking at pictures and stuff from the section of the city. So in general, just that fact alone, I thought was very fun. And just kind of looking at some of the buildings, looking things up, I was like, ooh, this could be interesting. Like, the hotel is very famous at the top of this cliff called the Chateau Frontenac, which will be where Elysium is kind of held every month on the full moon nights. And I think we decided on Quebec because we both don't think wanted it to be in Europe, because we were like, eh. And both of us had already played in like certain American cities and wanted to switch things up.
Yeah,
I do a lot of LA.
So it's kind of hard to decide. And I was like, oh, this one had enough of a switch up in terms of it has the modern city, but it still has the old city at the same point. And there's some fun little like legends here and there, like things of like ghosts in certain cemeteries or in the churches, things like that I really enjoy. Usually those are the kind of things that inspire me with World of Darkness stories, like you were saying. Mainly I think the one that we saw that we're like, ooh, this is fun, is there's a Notre Dame church in Quebec as well. And it is.
I've been there.
Well, I think we should leave it. I think we should leave it ambiguous for this part.
But
if you
tell us just the history of the church,
there's, but it's essentially, to not be too spoilery, there's a lot of interesting things about the church that we thought would be fun to explore in a World of Darkness story as well.
All right.
We were thinking about stuff to like for the big thing of the story, and we sort of were like, okay, let's come back later and talk about it. And then Natasha hits me up one day and is like, this thing is a thing. I think we can work with this. And I was like, love it. Yeah. So
a lot of it is just me being like, I found out another thing about Quebec in our DMs. It's like, we can use this.
And so, if anyone ever does visit the Notre Dame in Quebec, highly recommend their light show. It's very cool. Ooh. That's what I went. Yeah, I went
for me as a storyteller because that's going to be at nighttime. So
it's there's a very cool light show that they do. I mean, I did it years ago. Like I think I might have gone 2020 is what. So maybe they don't do it anymore, but
maybe they do.
Maybe they do. Google it. Look it up.
I think. Also, this is a big thing for me. This is going to be the first time.
So the second time?
This will be the first time. Okay. Well, technically, because as when I was running Sundered Skies this past Sunday, I was like, okay, I'm taking notes as a GM for the first time because I usually don't. I'm gonna be honest. I usually don't. So for the first time, I was like, I'll take notes. And so for the first time as a player, I'm gonna be taking notes for this.
Yeah.
I'll probably be referencing things at the Anarch table that happen at the Camarilla table. Like if there's a light show, it might be like off in the distance, you see the lights going off.
Yeah, that's fun.
Just kind of keep a continuity, so that's going to be a good time. But yeah, sorry to interrupt you. You were saying.
No, I love it.
No, same. I'm going to be very excited to try and do little references to the Anarch table, and I'm excited. I kind of want. I don't know who would, but I'm like, it would be very fun to see if anyone would watch the series, like just watching the Camarilla side or just watching the Anarch side and only getting one side of the story for most of it. I'm like, that could be a very fun way to consume this
not module,
this story. Yeah. Instead of watching both, I'm like, ooh, that's a fun way to look at it as well.
I had that thought as well.
The tables are sort of contained stories that do interact with a larger plot, but it's sort of like you could in fact get away with not watching one for a while and then switching to only the other one or something.
And like we said, there'll be a bit of cast crossover between the two if that makes sense to happen in the story. I expect it will.
Just titling two different things to make people think it's the only version of the show, and then be like, what? These are the same thing. No, we wouldn't do that to y'all, or would we?
If someone just didn't follow any of our social media or wasn't
yeah, I'm saying this is the Scourge.
I've been watching The Sanguine. It's pretty good, but have you seen The Scourge?
What if I told you they were the same thing?
Future show notes. Putting them in. Wow. I mean, we've been chatting about this for an hour. I love it. Is there anything else that you guys want to share about this that you haven't gotten to yet? I feel like there's so much. But gotta save.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I think we shared quite a bit.
Yeah.
You did?
Oh.
The
just a bit more about the city. The characters will have to be very careful with how they do things. Because Canada, in and of itself, is more when you're in America, just to backtrack a little bit, when you're in America, the threat of the Inquisition and the threat of other sects other than the Camarilla or the Anarch are few and far between. They don't have much of a presence there. I mean, the Inquisition has a presence just about everywhere. If they find out there's vampires, they will come down.
For context, the Inquisition is vampire hunters, for any of those that don't know.
Second Inquisition, to be exact. It's the second time. but the in Canada they have the Sabbat, the werewolves, and the Inquisition are much more present actively. So
Wow.
mostly because there's a lot of and correct me if I'm wrong here, Tasha. There's a lot
Mhm.
more of a stricter sense on like if, for example, if a vampire were to kill someone that they
Yeah.
fed on,
The amount of
the
murder
Inquisition
rates
would
in
be down.
Canada is lower than the United States. So it's
Yeah.
much more obvious if you murder someone, that would
Interesting.
draw more ears than it would in the US.
So
Playing on
the
hard mode
characters
of
would
it.
have to be the characters would have to be extra careful about how they, if they do kill, dispose of the evidence, and if
So,
if they careful about their breaches in the Masquerade, and all that stuff. So that's going to be a much more fun thing. So it's going to be much more prominent. It's always a thing that exists in the game that you have to be careful about what you reveal and who you reveal it to, and if you reveal it at all. But in this aspect, it's going to be much more responsive if something happens.
Yeah.
so I do actually have another question from that, unless you had something to add first, Natasha.
No.
So it was a conversation that you two had amongst each other about what age and generation to make our vampires. Do you want to speak to what that decision was like and where you landed on that?
I think for me, I'm like, the Camarilla has been around a little bit longer. So, and I was wanting to put you all, since both of you are half my table and another part is in the chat actively. So I got most of you guys here. I
Yeah.
wanted to put you guys in a position where you weren't the bottom rung per se. You weren't just like a random vampire's kid. You have reason to know about certain things goings on in the city by being children of some more prominent figures within the Camarilla. The thing that kind of comes with that is, to be a more prominent figure in the Camarilla, you have to be older. So you end up being a little bit lower generation than the max, which is 16th generation. Like 15, 16 is the Thin Bloods, and then some of the younger, like Kindred, are 12 to 13, 12 to 14. So it's very fun to give you guys, and I'm usually one where I'm fine giving you guys a little bit more power and levity to work with, because as a game master, I can always just make something more powerful for you guys to have to deal with. It gives me a little bit more playroom as well. And also, even if there's difference in generation within a coterie, I've had that in coteries I've run in the past, and I find it really doesn't make that much of a difference in how they interact within the coterie itself. It's still pretty equal, and in terms of generation at least. So it's not like in D&D where if you give, like, even the difference between having some players be at 5th level versus 4th level, it's fairly noticeable when if you mix levels within a party. But it's an amazing system in a way, because you can have these mixed generations, mixed power levels, if you want to put it that way, and it's not as noticeable when it's close up, which makes it all the more fun when you see someone who is much older and much more experienced kind of wreck shop. You're like, oh, there's a difference when you're older, when you're that much older.
It is Kindred. It's a very fun time when you're like, I thought I was strong, but these guys are a different level.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we look at the 4th generation of vampires in and of themselves who've been alive since before the biblical flood, right? They were
Third
revered as
is before.
gods.
Yeah.
The 4th generation contain kindred such as Odin or Baba Yaga. So, and the power, of course, wanes as you go on, the 5th, 6th, and 7th, and all that stuff. But it's still devastatingly powerful compared to a lot of the kindred of the modern day. So it's a very fun time.
Something I forgot to say that also kind of came in part with the Quebec City idea is a lot of the older vampires are in Europe or in the Middle East. They're not in the United States. It's mostly younger kindred that are here. So we didn't have to worry about like putting you guys all at a technically higher generation, but younger. It's weird how that works in terms of syntax. And not have you guys, but you guys don't have to worry about there being like this random person who is 1,000 years old just happens to be the ruler of the city. So you feel a bit more empowered as like, oh, the person who rules my city isn't 1,000+ years old. They're just like a few hundred years old. So it's a much bigger difference and it doesn't feel as daunting. So we were like, we don't have to put in as many older, crazy characters that you guys really can't deal with. And also we can make you guys a little bit younger so that you guys can also work and make characters in generations and decades that you guys are maybe more familiar with and can make more modern references if you want. You know, you don't have to be like, I am from the 1800s. I don't know anything, you know?
What is a floppy disk?
There was a comment in chat earlier. I think Rosie made it that having smartphones, when we were talking about playing modern versus fantasy settings, having smartphones really changes the dynamics of a lot of games. Those modern
Quick
world things.
Communication.
That's very easy in that vampires are still very paranoid about that because you can track a cell phone, you can monitor text with a cell phone. Vampires aren't going to be texting about vampire stuff. They're still going to have to meet in person for a lot of stuff and for most of their meetings.
And they're very careful about what they say to each other through messages and like use a lot of cold words and a lot of like misdirection to sort of navigate the masquerade as it stands. And what's really fun about that too is that and then I'll get into why I chose the generations and stuff for my table. Which I think I had a little bit more looser generation gap. But I'll get into that in a minute. But what's fun about modern day is that what I like to do at tables is generally at a certain level of resources, which is usually like 3 or higher for me. I'll assume for the characters that they would have thought to like encrypt their messages so they can communicate a little bit freer, while as lower resources I'd be like, you sure you want to send that over text? All right. Yeah. Cool. Let me make a note. FBI agents saw that. But for when I was choosing the generations for my table, I also wanted to keep it. I wanted to keep it a similar. I wanted to keep it at least possibly at the same level as the other table because I didn't want them to feel like they were being sunned by the cam. But like,
we are better than them, and they should know it. But
are they really?
You gotta change this attitude. You're at my table too, Extell.
That's true. I know I love the answer, but you're also Cam the Camarilla, which I'm still very obsessed about.
I am an Anarch at heart, okay? No, I reject the Cam and their old people ways. Anyway, the old ones need to die. That's just how the world will move forward. But anyway, but I also wanted to be with the Anarchs because a lot of the Anarchs are generally younger than Camarilla vampires. I wanted it to be like, you can be super young. Like you could have been turned like last week, like maybe your 16th generation or your thin blood. So the range is a little bit wider in terms of like the bottom, at least, right? So the bottom gap of the generation, so to speak, but with it still capped around the same area as the other table. So like you can be as old as some of them, but you can also be really young if you want to.
The only limit I put is you can't be the prince's kid because the prince is 8th generation. So I'm like, I'm not having one of you be 9th generation. No single digit numbers.
9th gen are terrifying. Look at the Nines Rodriguez. It's a good time. Or as my friend likes to call him, Daddy Finds Rodriguez. Anyway.
Shout out to Luis Carrazzo.
It was definitely at Luis Carrazzo. But anyway, Luis Carrazzo, for some reason you're watching this. Just know.
Yeah, Luis Carrazzo, if you're watching this, hi. Had a nice chat at Gen Con.
Yeah. Also, I'm not hitting it. I promise. I promise. It's my friend. Yeah.
Rosa Tears said in chat that their friend Emma was like, wait, you're only 11th, but you're a neonate? In response to when, Natasha, you're describing that. And also that she's played a vampire from the 1600s in another game, and it was intimidating but fun. Do recommend. I mean, yeah, I know that my vampire, who I changed the name recently because her name was Orally. I realized saying it out loud, it was way too similar to my OC Annalie that I cosplay a lot. So I changed it to Melodine. And Melodine, I believe, she was turned by a vampire who is not the prince, but pretty high up there. Yeah. But she herself is pretty new to being a vampire. Yeah. So I like the idea of getting to play with that, where although her generation might be higher, she's just kind of out of her element with this whole vampire thing. Lil, I did mention that she is the club owner of Visage, so that's her main bag, is having this place of prominence within the the living community, with being the host and master of ceremonies of this nightclub, and then trying to transition that position and prestige to this world of vampires that's very different, I think is something that I'm excited to play with her.
Yeah, no. It's very interesting, and that is the one thing I'll have to say is, hey, I play fast and loose with the words neonate and fledgling. I'm like, if you get an older vampire, they're gonna call all of you guys neonates, no matter like the age,
Yeah,
after
quite
certain
honestly, quite honestly, the generation is irrelevant to the terms, because it's more about how long you've been alive rather than how long you've been a kindred, rather than the generation you have. So you could be a fresh returned 3rd generation for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know how, but you could be a fresh returned 3rd generation vampire, and you'd be a fledgling because you just got turned. So the terms are more so the length of time rather than your power level, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, which definitely correlate the length of time you've been alive as a vampire definitely correlates to like your power level, but it's more focused on the age. The terms are
cool. And Rosalie, giving us a little insight into her character, says, first of all, Camcast keeps changing our names. Yeah, we do. When I was rechanging my name, I noticed that our initials are also the letters in Camarilla. But we already had A covered. So when I switched from Orally, I knew that I wanted a name that started with either M or R and landed on Melodine. So I do think that the naming convention of the Camarilla is very funny now. And Rosateer says, I love it because I do think Leonia, her character, was a little older than most fledglings on average when she was presented at Elysium.
Yeah, who knows how long it took for all of you guys to really be presented. It's very like Southern antebellum style, where you all had to be presented at a certain point to court. So after you've been training for a while to get the vibe of how the Camarilla works and what it's like to be a vampire. So all of you so it's also fun to play with playing the idea that even if you haven't been a vampire for a while, it's not like you just got turned last week. Because the Camarilla would not let you run around and do whatever if you just got turned last week. It's like, no, you have to sit with your sires. Like, you're going to sit right next to me, and I'm going to teach you something. And I'm going to teach you all the works.
Which is another reason why I hate the cam, because if you're young, they just make you do stuff. They're like, hey, go do this thing for me. And it'll be like, yeah, something that'll possibly kill you. You know, hey, go dig up this antediluvian for me and give him a juice box. Hey, thanks. It's like, okay.
But that's how you know that Camarillas are the real baddies, because we survived that. We did it. What have you done, Anarchs? What have you done?
Rebelled.
But name a second activity other than rebel. The Anarchs too.
Also,
you do anything else.
Cool. Also just being cool. But listen.
I'm listening.
And also the terms for the Anarchs actually do not subscribe to a lot of the stuff the Camarilla do, so they don't usually use the terms neonate or fledglings or ancilla. Sometimes they might when they refer to Camarilla people, but they don't use it for themselves generally. There are some who might. There's a lot of people who came from the cam and became an Anarch, so they might still use those terms. Anarchs are very loosey-goosey. It's actually very per the individual a lot of the times when you run into Anarchs, so which is really fun. It's more individualized than the cam, where just, everybody has to do this thing. Everybody's a neonate.
Would the Anarchs exist without the Camarilla? You wouldn't have anything to rebel against without them.
I mean, the Bruja are there for a reason. They'd find something, you know what I mean? They'd find something for us.
I'm with Natasha. The Camarilla give the Anarchs purpose. You're welcome.
Crying.
Literally, without us, there would not be Sabbat nor Anarch.
I mean, if it was the Anarchs instead, then I imagine the Anarchs would rebel against the Anarchs, but they probably call something else.
That's what happened. And then the Sabbat were made. It already happened. The Anarchs did rebel against the Anarchs, and then the Sabbat separated.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's a wonderful time. Yeah. Praise Cain. But yeah, I'm very excited about about this game. I can't wait to get to know all the characters, players, and then traumatize them in game, not as players, but in game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be a great time.
Yeah.
We have
honestly,
a great cast.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you keep going.
No, I was gonna say honestly, I think that about covers it. Honestly, I think there's.
I was gonna say it too. I'm trying to see if I can quick find the video that Shannon made for us. If I can show that, but okay, I found the link. Found the Google Drive link. Yep. All right, you guys.
You want to preview it here? Is that what's happening?
I think we are. I think I'm gonna do it because that's fun. Yeah.
All right, everybody, hold on to your socks.
All right, I'm gonna take a moment to get this set up. So you guys vamp for me. Tell them about when they're gonna watch this.
We have a question in the chat. I already asked Tasha this when we did our one-on-one, but want to talk about themes you have planned for the campaign. Ooh. Do you want to go first, Tasha, with the themes you got?
Yeah, so the main theme I always like to play with Camarilla is kind of things that are very prevalent to real life is the idea of working within a system and like this old guarded institution, and what will you do with that? Will you find success? Because it's very easy if you keep finding success in it to want to continue it and to perpetuate it. But if you are against it, what do? You know, do you try and work outside of it? Do you try to work within it to change it from within? What are the different goals in that? So I like to see characters explore things like that. but I'll also be focusing a lot on overarchingly the idea of kind of incomprehensible threat. Like, what do you do when you're the biggest thing in town? What do you do when you are like the barracuda in like the little minnows pool and suddenly a shark gets dropped in? You know? Like, what do you do when there's something that you feel like you can't surpass?
Yeah, that's great. I love that. And I guess the overarching goal, the theme is the same for me about the shark barracuda thing, because it is we share that. But I think on a lower level, on a more
Micro.
micro
Macro
level.
versus micro, yeah.
Thank you. On a more, I was like lower. That feels bad to say.
Street level, ground level, yeah.
Yeah. On a more micro level, for the Anarchs, the theme that's really going to be explored is overcoming odds, or trying to overcome odds. The struggle.
We got it back. Okay, so yeah, what I did was
Okay.
I was setting up the video and muting your audio on that screen, muted it on the others. So sorry, you're back.
What was the last thing I was heard?
I don't know. Chat, you want to let us know? I always have, oh gosh, I have my tech set up in advance for other things. I was like, yeah, I can just do things on the spot here. It's fine. Whatever happens, roll with it. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Micro versus macro was the first thing that the audience heard.
Wild. That's far
Thank
back.
you, somebody's hero.
But it's the thank you.
Rosie says last thing we heard was introducing the idea of overcoming odds as the more micro theme of Anarch.
Yeah. So like overcoming these intense obstacles, which kind of like in such a way piles on top of the main sort of theme, and how the characters will navigate and lost words, but how they'll navigate that as they are kind of thrust into a situation that is less than ideal, to say the least. And also probably how like they will leverage their like own humanity or inhumanity at the same time. So
amazing. Yeah. Well, I do have the screen set up if we want to go ahead and watch our promo. Then I am not going to turn off our mics again, but we will quiet ourselves as I switch us over to this promo that Imagine If Media, aka Shannon, made for us. So I'll do a shout out for Shannon in the chat. And here we go. Hopefully this works. And we are back. Thank you, Shannon, for making that for us. Your voices, yes, you can. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also love the little rising, like "Don't kill my character" logo as the moon. It gets me every time.
It's so cute.
To the point of Justin is definitely.
I also didn't notice. Yeah, I didn't notice that until now because it's on the bigger screen that Shannon's wearing little vampire teeth.
I was going to say that too. That was my first time noticing it. It's been her picture in every promo, and I never saw that.
I've only seen it small. Yeah,
that was my first time noticing she has bangs. I love it.
It's so
amazing.
I love it.
Well, are there any
fun fact about Justin? Me and Justin have known each other for a while, and I ran the first. I think it was his first vampire game for him, in a stream we had called Blood Tax together, and he played a Toreador there as well. It fits him really well. It's a really good clan for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this cast is just full of people that we've played with, that we were like, we want to play with more. And Somebody's Heroes jumped into the chat with that comment of course, Justin is a Toreador, and that's how I have played with Justin, was through our Somebody's Hero show, The Raven Court, on Fall of Tauliva. And I just talked about how much I loved playing with Justin, and so did Extell. So easy. Okay, we're inviting him to the show. And Rosalie is saying Kate's only really played with me in APs where I'm playing against my usual type, actually. Yeah, that's interesting. So we were together in Covencraft, which had 2 episodes before it didn't work out anymore. But we've played together on a lot of play tests for Margot Mods, aka Andy, who I do have a shout out for because Andy was in my aforementioned Shipwrecks game. So this is Rosalie's first time being on the channel, and our first time getting to really play a full campaign together. Miguel has been on the channel. He's the game master for our Masks: A New Generation series, which came out of Hispanic Latinx Heritage Month, and is a fabulous cast of him, Mika, Alejandra, and Beauty and the Beast. But I like how I used her screen name and everyone else's just name. And Miguel is someone that we've just been cycling project ideas since starting Masks, that scheduling is the BBEG. So when I was like, okay, we have another project on the channel, I want to pull him in. Shannon, almost always here, does our overlays and our graphics and superhero shenanigans, and has really done a lot to help us rebuild the channel. And the 3 of us were talking about this show probably after an episode of Superhero Shenanigans, and Shannon was like, I'm on play, I'm in. And then Valmina has been on a bunch with first the Avatar Last Stand game that was part of our Women's History Month, and then Thirsty Sword Lesbians, which was part of our Pride Month. And we have another game planned with that cast group that looks like it's going to be a Daggerheart game that will probably release in October. It's actually going to be alternating Thursdays to the Camarilla episodes. We had those scheduled first, so as I was working this into the schedule, that worked out, and it's going to be a lot of streaming. But so it's just a wonderful character crew family that I'm so glad to be able to pull so many lovely people in here. All right, is there anything else that you guys want to say about this or tease a little?
I've got something that doesn't pertain to the game, but it's just an awesome fact that I just got told. My boyfriend, him and his roommate found a little baby kitten outside of the house a couple of days ago, and they just took him to the vet and got him checked out, and he's healthy, and there is officially their pet now.
The cat distribution system is working.
It works every time.
I love it.
He's so cute. He's such an adorable. I wish I was there to give him scritches and hold him and lay with him and cuddle with him, but it's fine.
Is there a name for the kitty yet?
No, not yet. But yeah.
Right. What lovely, sweet, cute, lighthearted thing to leave off a discussion on Vampire the Masquerade on. That's fitting. No, I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Little baby.
He's so small. He's like
better share pictures on the server.
Put pictures in the Discord. So what we're gonna do is, if you're not already in the Don't Kill My Character Discord server,
now
jump in there. And and under the familiars, right? It's like furry friends or familiars, pets, whatever it's called. put a picture of this kitty for us, please? Thank you.
It is adorable.
Somebody's Heroes Live says vampires need kitties too. Now I don't trust vampires with anything with blood in it. So
They can have kitties.
Who said they can't?
that's okay.
Yeah,
but if the kitty is their
Daryl-
touchstone, she's in danger.
Daryl in the Philly by Night game that I played in, which I believe has Yuri and I think Rose. I don't know if you're in there too. You might be. There's a big
Rosalie,
cast.
are you in this game?
But he plays the Prince of Philadelphia. My character's the sheriff this whole time. I hate Camarilla, but I played in like 2 of them. But anyway, I'm the sheriff, and he has a Gould tiger. So a Gould white tiger.
That's a big kitty. It's giving Jasmine from Aladdin vibes.
Yeah, very old
pet tiger.
Yeah.
I had in the first D&D game that I ever ran, so very off stream. I had a ranger with a panther that my brother came in as a guest PC as a vampire and turned the panther. So Vampanther.
Nice.
It was fun.
Vampire.
Highly recommend. Turn your rangers, animal companions, or whatever game you're playing, turn the animal companions into vampires. It's a good way to give them more health and hit points, and it's just fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I think let's just remind our lovely audience how to watch the show, how to find us other places if you want to give yourselves little shout outs, and then we'll wrap this so we can have our own little break before we do a session 0 for this game with our cast. So, yeah, go for it, Natasha.
I have been Natasha. I use she, her pronouns, and I go by Natasha B Cosplays everywhere on the internet. I am very excited to play this game, and I will be kicking it off, which I'm not nervous at all about being the first round, next week on Thursday at 7 p.m. right here on Don't Kill My Character.
Thursday, July 10th, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Time we start most of our shows. Amazing. I'm glad we did it in that order, because then it makes more sense for Extell to go next. Extell, introduce yourself and your show. Introduce it. We've not been talking about it for 2 hours.
It is I, the one, the only guy.
In this group, yeah. Fair.
Right now on screen, okay.
Yeah, right now, yeah, sure.
I have some little guy energy sometimes. Sometimes I'm a little guy.
Mm-hmm.
You can find me Extra the King on the socials. I'm the social media manager for Tales from the Table Studios. I run a lot of Vampire. I have some stuff on Start Playing where you can join the table of mine if you'd like to. If you like what I've talked about how I storytell heal, feel free to join us on Start Playing. There's a lot of stuff going on. You just have to follow me on socials to find out. I'm sorry, I can't bring it up. Oh, I can bring up Sundered Skies. Yeah. Sundered Skies. You can catch me there every other Sunday. Every other Sunday on Tales from the Table Studios at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. There you go. And then our next episode, I think, is the 13th. If I'm right, you can check our socials for that too. But the first episode of I gotta check my calendar for this because I don't remember off the top of my head what the exact day it was. First session for the Anarch table is on the 18th of July.
That. Yep. Friday the 18th for that one. And and then just from there, every week we're either going to do Camarilla on Thursday or Anarch on Friday, rotating that way. Because we love rotating cast shows on this channel, and I apologize and thank Shannon profusely for making so many different layouts to accommodate those. I am Kate, aka Kate the Great Cosplays, and also the producer of Don't Kill My Character. So you found a lot of me by being here. If you want to see me cosplay as well, follow Kate the Great Cosplays for those things. But please follow Don't Kill My Character's socials to see all of the amazing things and shows and people who are here. And yes, we have our vampire game that is coming up. We also have Book of the Eclipsed, which is a side story to Superhero Shenanigans, our main ongoing Mutants and Masterminds campaign with Green Ronin Publishing. So, Book of the Eclipsed, we had Chapter 1 on Tuesday and Chapter 2 on Wednesday. This is my third day in a row streaming with Natasha. How we doing? We're hanging in there.
We're doing.
I've been sleeping so much better, honestly, so maybe this is the key. But we'll be back with Chapter 3 of Book of the Eclipsed next Tuesday, July 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Chapter 4 is on Wednesday the 9th. Then Camarilla starts on the 10th. So, Natasha, hopefully you'll be sleeping well too. And then we return to Superhero Shenanigans on the 16th. And for all of our full schedules, the first and easiest place to find that is going to be our Discord. And then we post regular promos and reminders to our social medias as well. So take a look at all of that to see what more we're doing. Thank you guys so much for being with me tonight with my storytellers telling us about the game and characters, with the wonderful chat who's been asking questions, and Rosalie telling us about your own character here. And I'm excited to get this story started with you because there are always more stories to tell. Goodbye, friends. Stick around for the raid.
Mm-hmm.